It's just gone lunchtime. This is the third and final hour of All Angles here on eNCA. Good afternoon. I'm Masoko Ratlacha. Now, it's that time of the day when we give you an update on how far many of the stories we've been following for you throughout the course of the day have advanced. Here's your lunchtime update. Let's bring in our reporters. Moloko Moloto is live for us in Bloemfontein, Silindelo Masikane in Johannesburg in the Vaal, and Aviwe Mtila out and about in Johannesburg. They've been on the ground following stories for us. Moloko, let's start with you. Free State Premier Silindelo Masikane finally resigning today. The ANC in the Free State took the decision to replace her with its provincial chairperson Mtila Dugwana. She was supposed to actually deliver her State of the Province address next week, but I understand the media briefing that she was supposed to have at 2 o'clock today was cancelled.
Hello, Masero. Well, about an hour ago, the Office of the Premier issued a statement inviting members of the media to this place where I am at now. It's called the Free State House. This is the official residence of the Premier of the Free State, and that statement was indicating that she was going to be outlining her future as Premier of the Free State. And we have, of course, heard that she was going to publicly announce her resignation as the #1 citizen of the Free State Province. Now, a statement just before we came on air dropped from her office indicating that that particular media briefing has now been cancelled indefinitely. So this is an indication that perhaps there are some people who still need to be briefed and all that. You would recall when you and I crossed a little bit earlier, Masero, I did point out that we have learned that the provincial secretary of the ANC in the province phoned Premier Silindelo Masikane yesterday telling her to resign. But the intention was that she had to resign on Thursday, and we have learned that the Premier had nonetheless decided that she would announce her resignation today. And the reason why the ANC, we were told, had wanted her to step down only on Thursday this week is because a decision on her replacement is yet to be determined. You would recall that is the decision that needs to be taken by the top 7 national officials of the ANC. Now, you did speak about her having to deliver the State of the Province address. This is supposed to happen next week, Thursday. Of course, if she would no longer premier, she would not be doing that. We did speak to the spokesperson of the ANC in the province 2 or 3 weeks ago, Mr. Jabu Mbalula, who indicated that Silindelo Masikane had actually agreed to step aside when she was informed by the provincial officials of the ANC. These are the top 5 leaders of the ANC elected recently during the provincial conference here. And according to Jabu Mbalula, then he indicated, this is Jabu Mbalula, I must point out, he said that Silindelo Masikane is aware that when she came into the ANC, she did not come with a position, and as a result, she would not refuse to step aside. That's what Jabu Mbalula, the spokesperson of the ANC in the Free State, told us when we spoke to him 2 to 3 weeks ago. We then, Masero, spoke to the newly elected provincial chairperson of the ANC, Mr. Mtila Dugwana. This was during their very first provincial executive committee meeting held here in Bloemfontein, and we said, what's going to happen? And maybe let's listen to him, because he sounded as if that Premier Ntombela, even if he were to be removed as Premier, she would still be utilized as a leader. Let's listen to Mtila Dugwana.
The fact that Silindelo Masikane is the Premier also has, will from time to time serve also in the PC, but the PC will make a determination if they will co-opt any of the members. It will not be a mechanical, unity that we would be building. We're going to make sure that we work with everybody in building a stronger ANC, and I always say these are positional leaders leadership, if you like, those who are elected. But all members of the ANC in their respective roles, they lead us. So we will work with every leader, every cadre of the ANC in building a strong ANC.
All right, let's go to Slee now. Slee, there were residents who were affected by flooding due to the opening of sluice gates at the Vaal Dam. And now they're calling on government to show up and assist them?
Well, certainly, sir, we know that we've seen some heavy rainfall in certain parts of Gauteng, in particular the Vaal area, where a number of communities have been affected by the heavy rainfall. But not only that, the 12 sluice gates at the Vaal Dam have been opened to release some of the water from the dam because it had reached capacity, and so those who are living along the riverbanks downstream have had essentially their homes flooded. But not only that, some are actually submerged underwater. We were actually in the area earlier this morning speaking to some of those who have been affected, how they've lost essentially everything. And fortunately, however, there has not been any loss of life in terms of the flooding that took place there. But we know that the communities desperately need help. And in fact, we find ourselves now today, or at this moment rather, at the Sidibeng District Municipality, where the Human Settlements MEC, Lebogang Maile, is being briefed. And we are expecting him to update us in terms of that government intervention that's going to take place. But let's just take a listen to some of the first responders, or one of the first responders to residents who assisted to evacuate them from their homes which were being flooded.
The government must come in now and see what he can do for these communities here. Because the thing is, yeah, there's a lot of money lost here. Luckily, no lives were lost, except some animals and stuff. That, yeah, you can't just save an animal. We're trying, but the human life is more important to me than saving a house or something. You can rebuild, but you can't rebuild the human.
All right, now Aviwe, Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi sets aside 1.2 billion rand to tackle the energy crisis. Yesterday, he laid out his priorities for Gauteng during his State of the Province address. But just tell me how the reaction has been on the ground from residents in particular.
Well, Maseko, it's been met with a lot of skepticism. As much as many of the residents want to be optimistic, they're saying that the mechanisms that are already in place are failing these residents. You take a look at Randburg, for example, where I was visiting a number of the residents there. They say they go without electricity for days on end. That's not the biggest headache, Maseko. Just a simple thing like logging these calls where they're supposed to get assistance, or just going through the apps are proving to be a nightmare for many of the residents. So they're saying that how can then all these bold plans be actually implemented when simple things like logging calls just to get assistance to get the lights back on are proving to be a challenge. I also spoke to the Johannesburg Chamber of Commerce. Remember that they house around 2,000 businesses in and around Johannesburg. Of course, there was that pronouncement by Panyaza Lesufi, the Premier, on his maiden SOPA address that at least 1.2 billion rand will be allocated towards the energy crisis. They're saying that's far too little to help the businesses that are struggling already on the ground. They say that at least the Premier must allocate some 4.5 billion rand to effectively deal with and cushion even small businesses around load shedding. They also mention some of these plans that, of course, Premier mentioning the plans tackling solar rooftops that are to be put in government buildings, hospitals, clinics and schools. They're saying that small businesses too need that reprieve from government to help them get along in these heightened stages of load shedding, your stage 6s, for example. But I wanted to take a listen, Maseko, to some of these residents, especially David Winston, a gentleman that we visited a bit earlier on, very frustrated while he remains optimistic. Let's take a listen to that.
We've been regularly without power for many days, and you try and log faults and it just doesn't happen. You can't get through, the app doesn't work, and when it does, when you do get somebody to come and help you, they look and they just leave and nothing happens, and it's been going on for months and months. And we'll be without power for 4 days at a time, and somebody will come, do a fix, our bridge, our phases, things like that, and then we have flickering lights and circuit breakers, earth leakages tripping out. And so if that's my experience, I would like to think that things will get better going forward, but we've got to pull together as a team to make this happen if it's going to happen.
All right, that was your All Angles Lunchtime update for today on eNCA with reporters Moloko, Moloto, Silindelo Masikane and Aviwe Mtila.